and I wear this. And I love this shirt because everything that you want is on the other side of fear. And I wear the shirt as a reminder to not let fear get full. Because you'll never be absent of fear. And many times, TSL Nation, Kenny, what's happening? So many times, man, we think that we really want the fear to go away, right? And we think that one day, some way, that the fear is going to go away. And this shirt is a reminder to me that everything that I want is on the other side of fear. Everything I want. And I think of things that have derailed me in life. It's really all out of fear itself. And so I got to keep the tank empty. And the way that I keep the tank empty is I don't let it get full. There will be fear. But see, fear can be managed. It'll never totally go away, but fear can be managed. And I was listening a while back to Marcus Luttrell. And Marcus Luttrell is, he's a retired Navy SEAL. He's got a great podcast, Team Never Quit podcast, that you may want to check out. But he said as a Navy SEAL, the movie The Lone Survivor was written about his ordeal and his whole SEAL team being annihilated. He was the only one that was a survivor. So he said this, he said, many times people look at Navy SEALs and they think that we have no fear. And he said, no, we still have fear. He said, we're not fearless. He said, but the fearfulness is trained out of us. And so we have processes, we have things that we have to hit. And so when we look at front sight focus, so meaning everything that we look at is right out that front sight. Other than that, we don't bring in anything else. We only look through that front sight. He said, so as a Navy SEAL, it's not that we're fearless guys. We're not. But the fearfulness is actually what's trained out of us. And so if you think about it, Andrew, if you think about it, Jordan, we're in sales, man. And just like you, I've been doing this 22 years and I'm still full of fear. I fear picking up the phone call and calling a customer and being hung up on. I fear not knowing what to say when a customer answers the phone. I fear the fact that a customer telling me no. 22 years later, thousands and thousands and thousands of customers that I've worked with. And don't think for 1 minute I don't have fear when I meet that person. What's going to happen? What are they going to buy from me? And there's always this sigh of relief, man, when you come out of it. And you say, okay, when they agree to buy that, okay, well, I'm good now. Okay. And but you have that fear, man. But the fear, and backing up a little bit, man, I've had the fear in sales, still have the fear. The fear, man, is what derailed my marriage. It's because I feared having difficult conversations. Fear is what led me into bankruptcy because I feared not being loved. So if I told someone, no, we can't afford that, then I wouldn't be loved anymore. I fear those things. See, you have to think of this. Everything you want in life, or everything that you have not been able to accomplish is really all due to fear. It's all due to fear. And so fear is the thing, man, that's nobody else is holding you down. It's the fear. It's letting fear override. It's letting fear get the tank full. So you have to think of fear like this, man. Think of fear as if it's rock climbing. And so when you look at a big rock, side of a mountain, from a distance, man, you sit there and you look at that rock and you say, God, man, how am I going to get up that thing? But the closer you get up to that rock, you realize, man, there's what? There's cracks, there's crevices. And so, Johnny, what you can do is you can put your fingers, when you get up close and you really study that rock, man, what you can do is you can put your fingers in those crevices, and then you notice, man, there's some little divots in the rocks too. So although the angle may be different, man, the way that you're angling your foot and everything like that, you figure out, man, I can actually kind of pull myself up. And so initially, this is your fear, man. But when you walk up to it, you realize, you know what, I may can climb up that. And so as you start climbing up, you realize that you expend a lot of energy at first and you're not very good at it. And actually you rock back and you rock off. But the good news is on this fear right here that you're trying to climb up, this rock ridge that you're climbing up, even if you fall back, you're only inches off the ground. See, and that's what fear is, man. The initial fear, when you first attack the fear itself, it's the false evidence appearing real. You're right, Andrew. So going up to those things there, man, when you look at something like that and you say, oh my gosh, I can't do it. But when you attack it, and so at the end of that first day, man, you're tired, you're exhausted, you didn't get very high. But then you come back to it the next day. And you come back to it the next time, and when you do, then what happens is you're able to put your foot in there again. And see, the day before you were fearful of this. But because you attacked it, you didn't get very high, but you realized that you can do it. And so then you get a little bit higher and a little bit higher. And that's why, man, when you end up seeing people that are way high up on the mountain and dude, they have no safety line, they have no net. It's not that they're absent of the fear, man. They still have fear. It's just what they've been able to do is they've been able to manage that fear. And so every single day, man, they came at that fear and they pulled themselves up. So when they get to certain points in their life, what they're able to do is when they're on the side of that rock, as they pull themselves up, man, they're able to sit there and they find their leverage points. They know what to look for. They're looking at the wind conditions. They're looking at the loose rocks. They're looking at all these kind of different things and they're saying, okay, how do I pull myself up from here? That's what fear needs to be for you, man. Fear is not something, man. It's an inoculation is really what it is. And think about this, man. When you go get the flu shot, right? You go right there to CVS, you go to Walgreens, and you get the flu shot. When you first, that's an inoculation. When they first give you that, man, it's a tiny dose of the actual virus itself. And so that first day, man, later on in that day, you start to kind of feel sick, and the next day you don't feel so good. But then day 3 you feel a little bit better. Day 4 a little bit better. Day 5 it's like nothing happened. That's what fear needs to be for you, man. See, it's that inoculation. But see, you can't negotiate with fear. You can't reason with fear. You gotta attack fear. That's the only thing. And so everything that you want in life, it's not going to come to you. It's not. And if you're waiting for things to come to you in life, then you're going to get the scraps of life. You're going to get the leftovers. What you got to do is you got to face and cut against the grain. See, fear is, you got to think of fear like this. Fear is cutting against the grain. And so fear is always looking for the norm. Okay? Fear is always going with the masses. So what happens is when you're trying to do something, generally what do? You look at what everybody else is doing, right? And if everybody else is doing it, that's not fearful because you're going in the same direction of everybody else. This is what I tell salespeople. You cannot sit there, whatever you see all the other salespeople doing, do exactly opposite. Do exactly opposite and you'll be just fine. But we don't. Because the fearful thing is cutting against the grain. The fearful thing is looking stupid. Because what happens is when you cut against, when you're the lone man out in the inventory, when you're the only one making the phone calls, when you're the one out there at the gym doing different exercises that you've never done before, and you feel like what it's going to do is going to make you look stupid. See, at first, let me tell you where fear will trick you, man. At first, everybody is looking at you like, what the hell are they doing? They look stupid. Why is Andrew standing out there? Nobody else is there. What's going on with him? See, fear is cutting against the grain. Fear is doing what everybody else is not willing to do. Everybody else wants to blend in. And if you want something out of life, if you want everything out of life, it's being willing to stand out. Is being willing to stand out. And at first, let me tell you what's going to happen. At first, you're going to fail. Many times, you're going to fail. And at first, you become the poster child of, see, I told you it wasn't going to happen. I told you. That's why I didn't even do it. I didn't want to do it. You know why they're saying that? It's because secretly they don't want you to make it because they're too bold to do that on their own. So they want you to come back my way. And at first, you're the poster child and you failed. But let me tell you, the trick is the fact that you showed up the next day and the next day and the next day. And so at first, they're looking at you to fail, but then all of a sudden, because you keep coming back and because they see you notching success and the fact that you're able to attack that mountainside and you put your fingers in the crevices and you're contorting your body all kind of different ways to pull up, and every single day, man, you attack that mountain in your life. The fact that you're willing to do that, you went from a poster child of being talked about to all of a sudden where they walk up to you and say, hey, how do you do that? It wasn't that long ago they were talking about you, right? And the ones that are talking about you are the same ones that need advice from you later. Your parents, your past, your boss man, they're not the ones holding you down. Fear is. And fear has to work for you. You don't work for fear. And so you got to attack it because you can't negotiate with it. You can't reason with it. You can't make a side bet with it. No. The only thing fear will do, fear will actually obey you. But first you got to attack it. You got to slap it around a little bit. And fear at times is going to let you know, oh, I'm boss. No, you're not. You won this round, but you didn't win the war. But fear is very subtle. And here's the thing that you got to be careful of. Most things you don't ever start off full of fear. Very few things. What it starts off as, let me tell you how it's so subtle. It's so subtle, in fact, fear is like Jason Voorhees. Remember from the Friday the 13th movies? Jason never ran nobody down, right? All he did is he walked very slowly behind you. Very slowly behind you. And as he walked behind you, eventually you're going to trip on a root. And when you trip on a root, he's going to eventually catch up to you and he's going to cut you in half. That's what fear does. Fear is in no hurry. Fear is very patient. And fear, you're the one. Because all it has to do is plant a seed. All it has to do is put a few things in your mind, and then all of a sudden, you're the one who gets rattled. All it does is just drops a little bit, and it's very patient. Because if I can put enough fear in there, and you react to that fear in a negative way, eventually you're going to trip. Eventually you're going to fall. And eventually that fear is going to overtake you. So let me tell you where fear births from. Fear starts off as procrastination. This is how sneaky and subtle it is. Fear starts off as procrastination. At first, you don't want to do it. See, and you procrastinate because you don't really, it's fear. You're just not calling it fear. You're calling it procrastination. I don't have time. Especially in management, man. If you're in management, you're going to make up, oh man, I got so many things I need to do. I'm going to get around to that. No, it's just fear, man. It's just fear. So it starts off as procrastination. And when you procrastinate, it's because you don't have that rhythm. See, if you attack something right then and there, you develop that rhythm. And once you get into that rhythm, you just bring in it's almost like an assembly line, right? But the minute you start procrastinating, this is where fear, if you want to spot fear, all of a sudden, oh, fear overtook me. Find out the things that you're procrastinating on, the things that you're going to get to after lunch, the things that you're going to get to tomorrow, the things that you're going to get to someday. It's fear. It's fear building up. It starts off as procrastination. And when you have the procrastination, you don't have that rhythm. And when you don't have that rhythm, then what happens is you get crapped out real quick. Because when you work with a customer, when you make those phone calls, when you do these different things, when you start this initial exercise, when you do these things initially and you've been procrastinating, then it comes off very rusty. It comes off very creaky. And so you think, man, I can't do this. And so you give up easy. See, that's fear. That's fear just trying to overtake you. So it starts off as procrastination, and procrastination not being dealt with, that's what leads to dread. And then when you let things, and this is where you dread, you let all these things build up. You let all these tests build up. You let all these phone calls build up. You let all this month build up, and you got a month left. You got a week left in your month, and all this dread. And so when you attack something and you dread it, what kind of results do you get? Not very good results, right? Not very good results at all, because you did it out of dread. It's the procrastination, which led to dread, which then leads to full out fear. The only way, man, that you're going to make something happen, the only way that you're going to get anything that you want in life is you got to attack the fear. Every single day, attack the fear. You're going to feel it. The minute you feel those things, the minute you feel yourself procrastinating, the minute you see that dread building up, the minute you do any of those things, you see those things building up, attack it. Attack it. Attack the phone calls, attack the leads, attack the workout program. I get the fact, man. I had a buddy of mine who, when he wanted to switch up his workout program, he started swimming. And he wanted to swim, but he was initially not wanting to swim. And the reason being is because he was a big guy. So he didn't want to be out there and be swimming amongst other people who were all in shape, who weren't afraid to take off their shirt. And you know what he did? He attacked the fear. He did it anyway. And now he's got a mix up in the program. Now he's got variety in there. And so it's getting better for him. And so he's able to add something else. But what if he would have stopped short of that fear? There's a lot of people, man, who are heavy set, don't want to go walking down the road. They don't want to walk on the sidewalk because they don't want people to talk about it. Man, attack that fear. Attack that fear. If you're tired of looking the way that you do, attack it. Put yourself out there. If you're tired of having mediocre sales, put yourself out there. Be willing, be bold enough to have people looking, what are they doing? If nobody is questioning what you're doing, if nobody's looking at you from a distance saying, man, what are they up to? Then you're not doing the thing that you fear. I had a salesman that had a bad month, and I was talking to him about his month. And as I'm talking to him, he's talking about, I just didn't have these customers coming in or anything like that. And I said, well, what about all the leads that you got? How many did you sell off the leads? He said, none. I said, you fear the phone, don't you? He said, I hate the phone. And I said, your promotion, your increase, everything you want in life, that's where it is right there. It's whatever you fear. And so if you want something different in life, attack the fear. Don't negotiate with it. Don't reason with it. And don't think it'll ever go away. It won't. Fear is there. It's necessary. But fear needs to be a fuel. It needs to be a fuel that ignites you. If you swallow the fuel, it'll corrode you. But if you ignite the fuel, if you light it, it'll explode you. Okay? Promotion or demotion, both deal with motion. Okay? D is less. Pro is for. Be pro. Go attack the fear. Have an amazing day. Remember, the greatest sale that you'll ever make is to sell you on you, because you're more than enough. Have a great day. Stay in the sales life.